Probably one of the misunderstood things in the mortgage world is the FHA Flipping Rule. And FHA getting blamed for it, but it really is not FHA. It's a lack of knowledge when it comes to a real estate agent buying a house. Maybe a real estate agent got a killer deal on a house, or somebody was distressed and had to get out of it fast, so a realtor picked it up, did a little bit of work to it, turned around, put it back on the market to flip it, and make a profit on it. Not necessarily an issue unless you're going to use FHA financing for qualification. So let's walk through some of this just a little bit. Number one, this isn't like HGTV that we fix and flip a house. It's more of a financing on the other side that we have to be concerned about. The clock on the waiting period starts the minute the seller takes, the new owner takes title. November 1st, that's when, if we buy a house on November 1st, that's the date that we took ownership of it. It's not when the project started. It's not when you went under contract. It is actually when your name goes on title. And fast forward 90 days, you have to get past that first 90-day window before you can even sell that house again on an FHA loan. And majority of the buyers right now are sitting on an FHA type financing, so you probably want to make sure you've lined yourself up to be able to sell that house or buy the house if you're the buyer in the right window of time. What happens is, and this has happened more times than not, we get under contract, get the title commitment, and the title commitment shows a 24-month chain of title, which basically shows who owned the property in the last 24 months and when that deed got recorded to transfer it. And if we see that the current owner of the home has only been on the title for 60 days and we're doing an FHA loan, we have one of two options. We completely cancel the deal and walk away because there's nothing we can do, or we basically sit and wait. The contract date of the new buyer has to be after that 90th day. Let's just say today is day 60. My contract that I have with my buyer and my seller is completely garbage. It's got to be canceled and terminated. I got to wait 31 days from now, get a new contract. A lot of trust, really. If you guys are going to sit and wait as a seller and wait for that time frame, or as a buyer and wait for that time frame, because you really don't have a contract, and you can't have a contract until that 91st day. It's not even you can't get around it. It's just a hard and fast no if you do FHA. It's just a hard and fast no. They will not let you. Even if, like, we've had the situation of, okay, I bought a house, I want to sell it on FHA, and I've only owned it for a week. I'm not making a profit. Sorry, you can't sell it on FHA. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter at all. Once you get past that 90-day window, the 91-day to 180-day window, you have the ability to do that financing, but the seller may have to divulge some information on how much did you buy it for in comparison to how much are you selling it for. And those numbers matter. We also run the situation for dual appraisals. And that is making sure that there's not price gouging and such going on. The two appraisal situation happened because FHA got burned when there was a lot of flipping fraud going on, and they just tightened their reins because they weren't going to have that happen again. Do I think it's tightened a little bit too much? Yeah, I do. I think part of it, if you think about, for any purpose, if a seller picks up a home, wants to just turn around and sell it for no profit, or a couple $1,000s worth of profit, which in that situation is really no profit. It's not a gouging thing anywhere. Why would they restrict that? So there is a little bit of a, hey, if you have a seller that's willing to show you what they paid for it, maybe they put $5,000 or $10,000 into it and they're only selling it for what they put into it just because they were trying to help the seller out and didn't want a huge gain. That does happen. It does happen a lot more than you think it does. They are just penalized and can't. I kind of feel like if the seller is willing to divulge that information and all the cards are on the table, why not let them do an FHA loan? But once again, as you know, he who has the gold makes the rules, and it isn't this chick, so I am not the one in control here. Do I think it needs to change? Yes, I do. I absolutely do, especially if you have a seller in a situation where it just has to be quickly sold, quickly sold, quickly sold, and there's just not a lot of financial gain. There's not any churning going on. There's no fraudulent activity going on. It's just the rule, though, that's in place. There's not necessarily a magic trigger as to why we have to have a second appraisal if we're within that 91 to 180 days. It's like, okay, how much did they sell it for if it was on the open market? Do we have that? Idaho's a non-disclosure state, so sometimes that's hard for us to get that information. Is it right on the 91st day? Does the MLS show that it's sold at this much and now we're $50,000 higher? What went into it? Can we see that from the pictures that we could pull up online to the pictures now, or like all they did was move the seller's furniture out? They didn't really do anything to justify that increase. Is the realtor in cahoots, or is the seller in cahoots with the appraiser? Like, let's get a second set of eyes. Sometimes it is underwriter discretion. Sometimes it really is just like, why didn't you order a new appraisal? This seems shady, but the underwriter didn't call for it, and so like off we go. We don't worry about it. Where FHA appraisal issues kill flips is with all of the missing things that sellers don't realize they have to do. Maybe they didn't want to fix the stuff in the basement. Maybe the basement has health and safety issues. Those things have to be dealt with before we can actually close on the loan. Handrails in places. I can't really say that it's an appraisal issue that kills deals. It's just more of you've got to do more, seller. You can't just do the bare minimum. One of my good appraiser friends that I've worked with years and years ago, he can't put lipstick on a pig and not have something pop up somewhere. Kind of an interesting thought process, but so when you're in the property flipping part of things, I think there are some cases that real estate agents got in, did the bare minimum, didn't really fix issues at hand. Now we're getting a new buyer in place. Appraiser goes out there and like, hey, here's your list of stuff that just didn't get done. Yeah, but I painted it and I put new floor covering. Yeah, but the floor waves. The floor is spongy. Or, hey, I stepped next to the toilet and I think the toilet's going to fall through the floor. Or did you look in the basement to see all the wires hanging out? Well, nobody's going to live down there, so the wires don't matter. They actually do if they're live. They actually do if they're not live and could become live. Tuck them into boxes. So sometimes flips get done too quickly, and appraisers are the bad guys in those situations for sure. When sellers and real estate agents go into a flip with the right mindset of, all right, I know I'm going to buy this house. I know that I have to put XYZ amount of work into it, but I know that I want to be able to cater to an FHA clientele when I sell this. I'm not even going to list it for sale for maybe a week before that 91st day, because I can't have a contract dated until after the date of that 91st day. So you got to keep that in mind too. It's not a close on the 91st day. I can actually start the loan on the 91st day. And that is the biggest piece that gets a little bit misunderstanding for people. So yeah, if you're a seller or a buyer of a property and you're wanting to do a flip, you got to think through, I got to sit on this thing for 91 days and then I've got to get the lender that's going to do the financing on the property. I've got to be able to have that 15 to 30 day window after that 91 days to be able to get the loan process done, because nothing can be started until that day has passed, and it's just a rule. Unless, obviously, like I said, if you can get into the conventional loan. So anybody who's listening to this that's a property investor or a real estate agent that has an opportunity to pick up a home that could potentially have some work done to it and turn into more of a flip, plan on keeping that house for 91 days. Just plan on not going under contract until the 91st day, because that'll just help you out so much. And we don't know it on the lending side. We don't have that information until we get the title work back and we look at that 24-month chain of title. So then it makes us look bad because we didn't know. And then we're 2 weeks into the process when we get the title back and we find out, oh, just kidding, we can't really do this loan because of this property. And it's just a weird, awkward conversation for the lending institution to be involved in. So just don't do it. Get yourself educated. If you're going to do fix and flips, plan on sitting on them for 91 days. When the FHA program put the restrictions on this, there was a lot of people that got burned. And there was a lot of frustrated borrowers because they don't know. They expect the home that's on the market for them to be able to just buy it because it's on the market and it's open to be able to sell. It's just a lack of knowledge when it comes to real estate agents that don't understand those rules. And it's just critical to understand when, hey, when I'm going to go list this house for Susie Q over here, I'm going to look in the MLS and see if it's sold. Well, hey, this sold 35 days ago in the MLS for X amount of dollars. Okay. And we're going to sell it right now for 36 days, 36 days later. All right. Well, then I'm going to put on my listing, I can only accept conventional or cash or VA, conventional cash or VA, no FHA. And then if somebody says, hey, I only can do FHA financing, well, if it's still available in 91 days from now, then we can help you. But if you can't wait 91 days, or if the house sells before that, sorry, definitely something to put a note in your MLS listing, or take some time to actually look at your listings and how they've sold previous. So you as an agent that's actually going to list a home, you're doing it with your eyes wide open and you've got proper expectations to the seller. I can tell you on a real estate agent side, if you don't know this rule, you get a seller that's excited and they get a house under contract at day 35 on an FHA loan. We find out that it falls in the property flipping rules on day 37. You got to go back to your seller and say, just kidding. We really don't have the ability to sell it because you didn't own this property long enough. You as a real estate agent don't look educated. You don't look very good to your seller. You have a different conversation with your seller when you say, okay, tell you what, we can market this only to conventional cash and VA buyers because you've only owned it for this amount of time. But if it's still on the market on the 91st day, we can hurry and add the words FHA and we can start marketing it to a different clientele. Maybe they're not going to be happy. Maybe they're going to be frustrated, but at least you went into it with open eyes and they're educated knowing. They can say, oh no, we really want to do FHA financing on this. We want to help our FHA people out. Great. They can make the decision rather than be blindsided. And some cases, some sellers have their money spent before the loans even close. So that saves them from themselves too. If you just get yourself educated before. Sometimes there is a situation where the percentage of increase. So seller buys the property, turns around and sells it for a profit, and they've only sold it for a certain percentage above what they bought it for. If they're willing to divulge what they purchased the home for to the new loan officer, to the new loan company, that can sometimes get us around that dual appraisal piece of it. But you can't do anything within 90 days. It's just not even, it doesn't matter what you beg, plead, borrow, steal. You cannot close an FHA loan if the seller's only owned it for 90 days. Now, there is one little piece to this we have to remember. If the home was sold or received in an inheritance, so grandma and grandpa die, the house goes to the estate, and the estate goes through probate, and 3 weeks, because I'm thinking positive about probate, 3 weeks goes by and the estate is ready to sell the property. That's different. That's not flipping. At that point, it was a little bit different situation, and FHA does allow that part of it. So there are some pieces to the FHA flipping rule that are super frustrating, but if you look at it from the big picture, it really is making sure that there is not fraudulent things going on. And yes, FHA did get themselves in some pretty crummy deals, not on their own. They had some lenders that helped get them there, but just kind of on my way out, I'm just going to explain this one more quick time. If you have a property you've bought and you anticipate using FHA financing for somebody who's going to buy it from you, do not list it for sale until you've owned it for 90 days. Plain and simple. Just don't do it. If you do, you have to be prepped to only use conventional VA or cash offers. It is that simple. The rule is pretty clear. It's just that simple. 90 days, FHA opens up. Before 90 days, FHA, not an option unless you want to wait. So with that, FHA flipping rules, kind of a misunderstood, kind of a misknown activity out there, kind of a frustration for people when it comes to the title work and that popping its ugly head 2 weeks into the process, and then we have to make a pretty hard decision. But property flippers, real estate agents, any of those guys out there listening to this, it's very, very, very critical for you to pay attention to sell dates. Title company give it to you on a property profile. You can look it up in the MLS to see if it's ever been sold. Just kind of have yourself educated. And with that, Mortgage Queen is out. Have a good day. Thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it. So stay tuned. We are going to learn some more next time.